everybody. Welcome back to the Latched Mama podcast. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the Latched Mama podcast is a podcast for moms in the trenches of motherhood. At some point, we will define that for you. I don't really know what it is, but if you feel like you're losing your mind a little bit, a little overwhelmed, a little tired, a little happy and then sad and then happy again, yeah, this podcast is for you. I am the owner and founder of Latched Mama. I have 6 children. Lindi joins me most days, who is my friend, also the lead designer at Latched Mama. And today she is eating pretzels while we podcast because we've been going back to back with meetings. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the in-laws, the topic of the in-laws. I think that heading into the holiday season, it's probably a good topic to talk about, and we will go from there. You're listening to Latched Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Wirt, busy mom of 6 and owner of LatchedMama.com. Join us each week as we talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, postpartum, and all things motherhood. We were on a podcast this week. It's kind of funny. We were on somebody else's podcast, and it was very planned, and it was very agenda oriented, and they told us beforehand what we were going to talk about, and they told us these little segments that they do throughout their podcasts. I felt a little like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
It was good though.
They were easy to talk to though.
Oh, amazing.
Definitely planned, not like ours, but very easy conversation.
Yeah. It's just interesting that podcasts can be different.
Hi.
So we're not recording on a Monday today. We're recording on a Thursday, which is almost worse than a Monday because we did After Hours last night. And After Hours takes me so After Hours is a Facebook Live show that we do. How you like that? That we used to do every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. And we don't do it anymore every week. We do it sometimes. We did it last night. And I think I'm just so introverted that 10 o'clock rolls around and then it takes me until midnight to fall asleep. And then last night I had to go check on a sick goat, and it was just a whole big thing. And
maybe Tuesdays will become our day. Maybe we'll get so on top of it.
So we did the 100th episode giveaway last week, which was really fun. But our podcast shot up in the actual shot up, meaning not very far, because we don't really try very hard with the podcast because we have a lot of other things to market that actually bring revenue into the company. But it's shot up. Win. It shot up. It's almost in the top 100 of parenting podcasts, which to somebody who likes to win all the things sounds very sad. But I saw it jump up 100 spots and I'm like, oh my gosh, if we're almost in the top 100, if we can get it to shoot up another 100, then we're going to be up there at the top. But it's really kind of funny because it's probably a lot easier to beat 300 to 200, whatever, than it is to get up to the way top. But I think we might try a little bit. Okay. So guys, if you're listening to this, and you like the Latched Mama podcast, talk about it, tell your friends, subscribe. I don't really know. It's another one of those algorithm things like everything else in my life. And how many times a day do I say algorithm? Because nobody understands them. I think they're put in the world to make marketing minds crazy. Nobody knows how the Apple podcast stuff works.
No, but one day you will win TikTok.
I've got to try TikTok to win TikTok. I'm currently trying Instagram, so go follow me at the Latched Mama if you do not already. I actually try over there to try and make the Latched Mama page a little bit better. We will actually talk about our topic today, but anyways, I want to win the podcast game. So,
okay. Random like always. Should I turn this heater off?
Probably. Let's turn it off. It's a little loud. Hi guys.
And I'm back.
Okay. So we're going to talk about in-laws. So I will say, till hopefully I don't have any in-laws left, that I won the in-law jackpot. So I sometimes have a hard time with a lot of the conversations that are happening in the group, not because I don't understand that parents in general and in-laws can be really hard. But I have amazing in-laws, and I also, my husband's parents are divorced, which means I get bonus in-laws, which is really it was probably a very traumatic event for him in his life, and probably one that he would not like to go through again. But for me and his wife, coolest freaking thing ever, because I've doubled it, and I have 2 healthy individuals who are no longer married, who are now married to somebody else. So it's great. And they're both happy. And they're both so different, and it's a completely different experience for my kids with both sets, and they're loved and celebrated, and I'm loved and celebrated, and it's way rad.
Yeah.
How are your in-laws?
So
you have
in
the
a
same thing.
similar boat.
Yeah.
They're both, divorced for a while. So my mother-in-law is amazing, probably the biggest heart and giver I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
And my father-in-law he's just a really cool, down-to-earth dude.
Yeah.
And his wife Pam is pretty amazing too, as we've gotten to know her like over the last might it be 9 or 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome.
It's really, really cool. I mean, I think anytime that you marry when you marry somebody, you marry their family. Like, I mean, case in point, I was engaged prior to marrying Eric. And the idea of marrying into that family would keep me up at night and make me like sweat because it felt so dysfunctional to me at times. Mm-hmm. And it stressed me out, and it probably, I don't know if it triggered my own childhood stuff. I mean, that was years and years ago before I really had any insight on kind of who I was and where I had opportunity for growth and stuff. But, didn't marry him. And I think probably part of it was because I could not envision my life as part of like his family. Is that bad?
No, I think it's honest. Yeah. I look back and obviously now they're separated, and I don't see some of the chaos that I just wasn't sure what to think of or do with back when we were dating. And when we were dating,
so when you were dating, his parents were still married.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, I was 18 and he was almost 21. Like that's when we met. And so like we dated for 4 years. So
hold on. Sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine.
His parents got divorced while you guys were getting like before you got married or after you got married? After you got married.
After.
Did he go explore that and work through that at all? Or like
he's done some, but he's very aware of, I don't even know
really
what the word is.
I really truly think that
I don't want to get too much into like therapy stuff, but
I think that it affects kids, whether they're 20
it doesn't matter,
or they're 12 when it happens.
Yeah. I think I've talked to him before, and I mean it's not, but either way, he said that they almost got separated when they were in high school.
Okay.
And they didn't, and they stayed together. And I asked him, he's like, it wouldn't have mattered when it happened. It still can affect you.
But is it cool watching them heal as separate people as they have kind of gone through life in terms of his parents? And
I don't know how much healing or work has been done, to be honest, but it's a much healthier place now, especially since my husband is in a healthier place with it. So yeah.
Some of the questions that we get in the group a lot are like, what happens when I bring my kids over to my in-laws and maybe there are different rules or different things that happen that either don't happen in my own household or aren't part of how I remember growing up, and like suddenly you have this relationship to navigate where you're those kids' parents, but then you also want to be respectful towards the other side. And I think that like, I'm sure it was hard for me at the beginning. Yeah. I think for me, I have just kind of eventually accepted the fact that they're gonna most likely love me like my parents loved me, and that I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna do the best I can. And I mean, this sounds bad, but take it or leave it. Like, I'm gonna be kind, I'm gonna be respectful,
right.
But at the end of the day, like, I'm doing the best I can. And if they can't see that, then they can choose to be part of our lives or not.
Right.
Right.
And then you can also choose where and how much time you would like to spend in places.
Yeah. It's fascinating, but I think it took me a little while to get there. And I think where people sometimes struggle a little bit, and I kind of see it in some of the posts in the group, is that we are sometimes afraid to show our imperfections, maybe to somebody who we don't know well, or maybe somebody who is not, built to love us. They're just loving us by association or something.
I agree. And then I think it's interesting to see how that kind of relationship like ebbs and flows when you don't have children. So it's kind of, obviously it starts before you have kids.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I guess it could be different. How that relationship is. And then I think when you have a baby, I mean, like I was completely out of whack, and you want to like, I can do this and I can do it well, and I want it done my way, but you know, learning some grace and the things are going to be okay. And as I had more kids, and then like we're done having kids, and it's actually kind of interesting. I could probably sit and really think on the dynamic changes as like family grew and things changed and all of that. But
it's just, I don't know. Like I feel like they have brought such a cool bonus to my life. Like when I knew I was marrying into a family. Like I knew that there's like, you know, an extended family that would become part of mine. But honestly, some of the coolest memories that I have over like dating through having babies and stuff, my in-laws are part of, and like so many amazing, endearing things that just like light my heart up. You know, like when you start to reach like mass chaos and like parenthood and stuff, and like the big stuff that you thought would really matter in life, like big vacations or this or that, really just stop mattering. And it's like the little things you start appreciating in people. Like my father-in-law, so Eric's biological dad, he is one of the quirkiest, I would use the term weirdest people that I have ever met in my life. And it wasn't offsetting when I first met him. He's like uber smart. He has like a theology, I think I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I think he has a theology degree from Princeton. He has a law degree from Georgetown. I think he was starting med school until like Eric's mom was just like, dude, time out. Like, let's figure out some direction here. So he's normally like kind of in the clouds. I don't know if you've seen Eric when he gets there. Like he's just very like out there, but he takes photographs like nobody I've ever seen take photographs.
I didn't know that.
No. Not from like not from like a creative standpoint. It's like paparazzi standpoint. It's like every single time you turn around, Clay or Pappy has his phone in your face. Okay. And so it's just constant. And at the very beginning, when I was worried about like, Pappy, you can't take pictures of me. Like, Pappy, like I just stop. Like I don't have makeup on or like whatever. But I can tell you to this day, some of my favorite moments of like pictures that I have of me parenting have literally been taken by Pappy, just because he is just so set on the fact that like life is magical. And that
is there like a Pappy photography folder? Do you have like a shared folder? Does he just dump them all in?
Yes. And then every time after we're together, my phone blows up for about 3 hours because Pappy just keeps sending me all of the pictures that he took. Like I love it. It is adorable. Aww. But the problem is he passed it on to his son. So Eric is also like Mr. Sentimental, and now apparently it's genetic because Nathan is Mr. Sentimental. It's just a very weird like collector type of thing. They're not really hoarders, but they like to collect things. But Pappy collects memories, but it's really cool because it's such a cool bonus. Like my dad's not like that. My dad doesn't even know how to work an iPhone, you know, but Pappy is just there with the latest technology, just snapping all of the pictures all of the time. I know, I love it's super sweet.
That's really cool.
But your mother-in-law has like, she's the sweetest woman I've ever met.
Yes, she would. If I let her, she would feed and like deliver food like every day. She like,
but she lives all the way across town.
She lives about 25 minutes away. Yeah. She would just give and give and give and give. She'd give her organs. She would give like, that is just her heart. And as we have gotten to know her over the years, I try to fill that bucket back up.
Yeah.
But that's just what, if something's needed, if you need her, she will be there. Like no questions asked, not even like, oh, what are you doing? Like, but yes, I will be there.
So not to get too deep on this, but we talk about this often together as a friend. So I'm kind of putting you on a spot here. But like, do you think in some ways, sorry, this is going to get too deep. I'm going to phrase this so you can go in whatever direction you want with this. But how do you think she mirrors your relationship with your mother? Like, where does she fill in places that, like, your mom shows up with dinner versus your mother-in-law showing up with dinner? How does it feel different? Because I can tell you all day long how that feels different to me, because I've thought about it, because there are nights where my mother-in-law shows up with dinner and I worry about the house being clean or the kids being polite, but there's also this certain comfort that comes over me because of some other reason. I don't know. Like there's a connection there that maybe I don't necessarily, that not the same connection I have with my mother. Whereas my mother makes dinner and that's chaos and the kids are out of control and I don't worry about the house being clean and stuff like that. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think I have the probably similar to you. My mom's incredible. She is a huge giver and all that, but they're two very different personalities. One has a huge heart full of all the feels. A simple card will have her in tears. My mom, I think we have a little bit different of a relationship, not as emotional. Sure, we both have our issues. So I could see if my mom came for dinner, absolutely love to have her. The kids would be excited. We'd all be excited. But some of my insecurities would come out and wonder, is she judging my counter? Is she judging my laundry? My mom has things in order. It's how she loves it at home. If I go visit her at home and I put my bag on the counter, and I go find a kid, I come back, it will be gone. It will be tucked into the into the laundry room, and she'll say, "Hey, I just put your bag over there just in case." So I love her. And then, my mother-in-law will show up with dinner, and I would probably expect her to stay for a while.
Yeah.
She's just big love and emotions and chaos, but like good chaos. I think she's okay with more of the mess. They would both probably offer to help with something. My mother-in-law would not let me clean up.
Yeah.
I think she grew up doing that. So those they're kind of random thoughts and things, but they're both incredible people, both very different.
And I don't know what it is. I mean, I think that we just both got probably really, really lucky because we do know that there are some tough,
hard situations,
really, really hard in-law situations out there. People who maybe haven't, done the work themselves, or are still, super emotionally attached to their child that you marry,
and they're really hard to navigate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're not we're not discounting that.
But and we have had some of those moments.
Absolutely.
Be completely honest. We have, and I'm sure there will be more down the road. Yeah. So,
I also married into a family that didn't have any girls. So there's 3 boys. So I think that
different?
Well, I think that just kind of plays into I felt a lot of responsibility, I think, when I first married Eric, because, I don't know, he's the oldest boy, and, what does the female look like that marries in, and who's going to take care of everybody when they start to get sick? Because, Eric's, fine, but he's a dude, what is my role going to look like eventually? And I don't know. I think I do take on that role, especially on his mom's side, in terms of just kind of the planning of the holidays and gathering the 3 sons' families together and making sure that kind of information that may be happening on the outside of whether somebody is sick or having surgery or something is disseminated out. So I kind of take on that role, I think, sometimes. But I don't know. It's been really cool. I think it's fun to allow his mom I went to the running of the brides, which was this thing that the Filene's Basement used to do, which is old
do you put a dress
store.
On and go run?
No, they open the door and all of their sample gowns and stuff are all over hanging up. And
so good deals.
Yeah, good deals. My wedding dress.
Is that where you got yours?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then I bought 5 more because I couldn't decide eventually, and then I ended up wearing the one that I got that night. But we literally slept outside. I don't think she spent the night with us, but it was my mom, my best friend from college, and Lynn. And it was one of the coolest memories. And I also remember we were going somewhere. I don't remember where. We were on the train. I don't remember where we were going. We were going to Philly. Maybe that's where we were going. I don't know why I would be watching. Anyways, we watched The Business of Being Born together, which she had babies at home. Ironically, bizarrely, we ended up using the same midwife, which is crazy because it was 40 years apart. So she had one of my midwife when she first started practicing in Richmond, and Lynn had moved from Kansas. So Eric was born and Eric's brother was born. So she had her youngest son with the same midwife that I ended up having 5 of my babies with.
Whoa.
So yeah, so it's really, really cool. Like it's a really, really cool special bond.
Wait.
What? Yeah.
So Nancy helped birth Eric?
No. Ethan, the youngest one. I know. Isn't that incredible? I know. Not a lot of people know that. It's pretty awesome.
Wow. Okay.
But there was like 40 years between them, which is crazy to me. But it's also really, really rad that Nancy, this is also another like little crazy thing. So Nancy helped Lynn have Ethan at our house. So at our Brandermill house.
Okay.
And then 39 years to the day, she helped me have Catherine at the same house. So exactly the same date, exactly the same everything. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, I mean, there's cool little bonds that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's also hard to navigate. She is a little bit fancier than I can portray at this point in my life. Of course, I would like my walls clean, and I remember the first time. So Nathan had like terrible colic. And Eric and I finally got to go out to dinner. Mm-hmm. And I remember texting her from the bar. We were at like PF Chang's or something, and I was like, how are things? And she goes, they are fine. And I was like, Eric, I was like, things are not good. Like, we have got to go home. And then like the next text was like, do you have any wipes? Well, I knew that there were wipes somewhere in the house. I had no idea where the wipes were. Like, I was like newly postpartum, like kids. Yeah. I was exhausted. I was like, when I can't find them, I just wet a wet paper towel or something. And I remember like this moment when I sent the text, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if she's ever going to talk to me again. Like, it was just such an imperfection, like moment of imperfection.
Yeah.
Before I was like ready to be imperfect about anything, I still thought I could do everything. But I don't know, just like, it's such a cool bonus in life.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard. Like, it is hard. Like, it's
Absolutely.
Sometimes I feel judged a lot. But I do know that they love me, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
How do you deal with boundaries? Do you have any boundary navigating issues in terms of like the kids or opinions, or do you just kind of say,
yeah, I'm actually struggling to think of a specific incident that I actually remember, and maybe because my postpartum mom brain just forgets a lot. But I do think over time we've had to kind of have some tough conversations that have come up, and try to navigate through them, whether it's, let's just say like Christmas Day or something like that. Yeah. And where I don't have the desire to go to 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop and split the day into 3 2.5 hour chunks and say, okay, your time slot's up. Like, we got to move on. Like, it's hard to navigate some of those things and having those conversations.
And I think we're probably, my opinion is, I'm very far removed from those years where I didn't have a voice, where I just kind of went with the flow and just kind of sucked it up and did whatever. I feel like at this point, I'm going to do what I want to do and what's best for the family.
Right.
And I think that they probably would have always respected that if I had my voice, but I feel like they respect it more now. But I think the respect has always been there.
Yeah.
I think I'm just better at kind of voicing what we need as a family at this point.
Agreed.
I mean, my in-laws just moved over. Eric's mom and stepdad just moved across the river from the West End, where like their church is, where everything is, literally just to be closer to us and to help us, which is like such an amazing gift. They're going to have a great relationship with the kids. I mean, they already do. But it's just so rad.
Yeah.
And like, I remember my grandparents, and I was in college when my grandmother died. No. I was working when my grandmother died, and then my grandfather died like after Eric and I started dating. But like, I don't remember them enough that I discount the time that my kids spend with them. Like, and Eric and I do it all the time. We're like, your grandparents are going to die one day. And like, we're just black and white about it. Like,
right.
Whether you want to stay in the basement and play video games right now, or whether you want to go over to their house, we're making this decision for you. You're going over there. And it's so funny because it's just like, learn from them, because they can give them, just like everybody else in life, such a different perspective than we give them.
Yeah. So I grew up in South Africa, but both sets of grandparents were, I mean, it was at least, one was a flight or like a 7 to 9 hour drive. And the other, it was the same thing. So we didn't see them and have access to grandparents like my kids do today. And it's a big thing for me. I don't think I would ever choose to move away from them just for whatever reason. If it was an absolute, we need to do this for the financial reasons to support our family, we need to take this job or whatever, I'd be like, okay, I understand. But I will probably do anything I can to stay close. And I respect my parents' decision of wanting to get a family out of said turmoil that was South Africa at the time, and it probably still is. So I respect that. But, you know, I didn't really get to partake and, you know, gain that wisdom and that time. And from them. And I still vividly remember my dad's parents would live in this really like high flat building in Durban, and you can look over the beach and kind of like the weird, and this is like my 7 to 9 year old brain of what I remember. I'm sure it's different, but kind of like the shops and things like that. And it overlooked this old I call it elementary. It's like a primary school where my dad went to school there, and we would kind of watch, and the kids were in uniforms, but I vividly remember they had this kind of veranda. It was like what we would call like a 3-season or something like that. So you could slide open the top, but we would sit out there, and he had a few little trains, but he would just sit and talk, and he would talk about the school, and he would talk about the army, and he would talk about this and the beach and whatnot. And at times I thought it was like really boring, but I have these vivid memories of it. And my grandma had this little candy bowl that we were allowed to take, and it was the little strawberry ones. Like just, and
so cool.
So when I think of just what my kids have today, like I just always want them to enjoy spending time with their grandparents, and really like still to this day, like 14 and 12 year olds, like they really do love it still. And I still tell them, I'm like, I really hope you don't lose this. Because I didn't have as much time. So,
and I think where this like kind of draws back to the in-laws is like, it's not always going to be easy. It is not always going to be easy to navigate. It's not always going to be easy to find the time or to deal with feeling different, maybe not as relaxed as you do with your own parents, or following the rules, or whatever that other set brings to you. And I'm not saying sacrifice your mental health or change your boundaries or anything, but watching those magical things that can make your partner who they are, you know, because those people for the most part raised most of our partners, you know, like, and I can see moments where Eric's with his dad or Eric's with his mom. And Eric has this thing is like his mom will bring over dinner, and it's so nice because she also normally cleans up the kitchen, and I'll go put the kids in the bath, and then I'll be like, it's bedtime, because Eric puts the kids to bed after the bath. And Eric will just be sitting in the kitchen with his mom while she does the dishes. Now, if I had literally picked apart the things with Eric's mom that are hard for me, and there aren't many of them at this point, and said, hey, you know what, your mom can't bring over dinner. It's been a long day. I do not want to deal with this. You know, the house is not clean enough or whatever. They wouldn't have that moment. You know, I don't know. It's all so darn complicated, and it's so messy because we
it's
all
just
have our own
connected,
crap.
Whether it's us or whether it's with the grandkids. And
the other parents can trigger stuff in you that your own parents do. Like, it's just, it's a freaking mess. But then again, what in life is not a mess? I've just started to like just embrace the fact that it's all beautiful, and we're all supposed to be connected in some way, and just to lean into the discomfort sometimes, because sometimes the greater good and the memories and stuff will be better than that moment that you feel like you'd rather just be braless on the couch in your pajamas.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys.